Welcome, friends, fiends, and familiars, to the Comic Fiends Comic Friends. On this show, I have conversations with friends from all over about comics. In this week's episode, I have a chat with another good friend from college that I worked on a play with. Please remember that I actually recorded this and the next episode a few months ago, so the timing may seem a bit off. I'm your host, the Comic Fiend, and this is my comic friend, sim1eve.
I know, so original. Not really.
Yeah, well, it's better than anything I was doing in middle school, high school, so I imagine. Okay, great. So this is the Comic Fiends Comic Friends, where we talk about how you got into comics, what you were interested in, and what that where we go. We're just gonna spin it from there. So go ahead, introduce yourself, Sim1eve. Who are you?
Okay. Um, my real name. Wait, can I say my real name?
It's whatever you want to say. It's
Okay, well, I'm gonna
just
say my real name. My real name is Simone, but
gasp.
yes, I know, but I just put Simone Eve because I don't know. I'm just going with it. Um,
So you've known me for how long?
8 years.
Oh
Yeah,
wow. Okay.
yeah.
Right. So we
Ever
were
since that show,
right.
you saw the first show
I did.
that I did, and I was like, oh, you wanted to do a show. And then we did a show,
Yeah.
and and that was the most awesomest show. Okay, enough about that.
Great.
Reminiscing.
Yeah. That's a totally. So to give background, Sim1eve and I worked on a small stage play, small stage production, um, with another friend for a cultural club, and we spent a year on it, and I think it was a really great show. And then after that, we all retired and didn't do any more stage stuff. But it was a lot of fun, and I think we put something really cool together. So getting back on track, what kind of comics do you read, or did you read?
I read a lot of manga, especially in high school.
All right.
Then after college, it kind of dropped off. But once in a while, I'll pick up something cool either online or if I'm just browsing, just from friends. But yeah, usually, I used to read a lot of manga.
Okay, so it's mostly manga. Like, there's a lot of subgenres of manga. Did you
Oh,
did you stick to a particular kind, or were you pretty varied? Were you really broad in your taste?
I was really broad in my taste. I
Oh, really?
definitely I liked all the girly shoujo stuff.
All those,
Sometimes
yeah.
I'll read some shonen, then I get into the more I guess violent ones like Battle Royale or Akira. So that
Oh
was
boy,
actually
yeah. Did
yeah.
you? So you? I still need to finish Akira, but have you? Did you finish Battle Royale?
I did not finish Battle Royale,
Oh
but I
wow.
did
Okay.
finish Akira. And what was cool about the reason why I got into that one is because my local library actually had them in in I guess I guess they just had them in the library.
Hmm.
And so, those books, they're huge and they cost so much. So it was really cool. Like my library had even some anime in there as well. So
Oh, you could check out like
that
DVDs, VHSs of anime.
mhm,
Check it. That's
mhm.
pretty cool.
Yeah, so I pretty much got Akira from there, but then, back when I think Borders was still in business, we would just go to, and I think kids still do this in some like Barnes and Nobles, but
Oh yeah, they
we'd
totally
go
do.
to we'd go in there and just kind of hide out in the corner and read some manga.
Yeah. I don't think they have anything. It's weird. I don't know if any of them have problems with that, but yeah, I would go and just like get a stack and check them out and then yeah. So okay, so then how did you get into manga in the first place? It sounds like was it the library where you started or did you just was a friend like what is it?
Well, it's definitely because I was watching anime for so long too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think in the 90s there used to be the store in Fremont. God, what was it called? It's called like I think it was called like Beeman's. Definitely not there, but that was definitely in the 90s and my cousins used to go there and purchase all this stuff that wasn't even in the US yet and they even had like the subtitle videos that you're not supposed to like sell or anything because they're all fan made. But anyway, so that's where I started like
Oh, wow. Like the
yeah.
retro fan subs, like the
Yeah,
those
it
yeah,
all on
there's
VHS. But anyways, I started watching anime from my cousins, and then they kind of grew out of it, but I got into it more and more.
Mhm.
Then everything started to go digital, and so you could get more of just a
Yeah,
bunch of different stuff, and
sure.
that's pretty much where I started to read manga. Was just like, oh, did you know that this story in on anime, um, you know, there's more of an extended story in the manga, and
Right.
that's kind of how I picked it up. Just wanting to learn more about the background of other characters that you can't really find in the animation itself.
So would you say that's sort of what you liked about the manga is that you could only get like maybe I don't like it's my understanding that with anime they tend to do like either they censor it or they cut some parts for what they can actually air on TV. So is that like what was more appealing about manga is that they had sort of more of it or there's
I
more of the content like that they didn't have to cut out?
I think that was part of it. I think that was definitely a part of it. Also, it was just like there was a lot more. I think there's just a lot more stories too. Like with anime, especially when I guess it wasn't super readily available like it is today.
Hmm.
Um, you couldn't really. I guess it was really expensive back then.
Oh
So
yeah,
then
bet.
reading manga was just so much easier to get to, at least from where I was. Really, like it's so much easier to get online. It's so much easier to just, I guess, find from other people and that way. I think.
So
Yeah,
we're talking
yeah,
scanlations here. We're not talking about like
yeah,
just the stuff. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So
I
it
know. Oh my
was
gosh, this is so long ago. So
right. So I mean,
forgive me.
just give me a time frame here. Like what year are we talking? Because
Okay, let's see. I would say middle school, so maybe sixth grade. Wow, God, shoot, how long was that? My sixth grade. How old am I now? God. Um,
remember that was
yeah.
sixth grade, but not
And I think I was 11, I guess.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
it sounds right
And
for
the
sixth grade.
internet was,
Still kind of in.
there was like some people just didn't have it until, then, but yeah, I was like either you got VHS from other people or you got just like manga that you would print like at the school library. Or yeah, it was
Yeah.
like
Okay.
that. You like
Right.
at the internet there.
Right.
Yeah, and then eventually I think at around that time I think maybe seventh grade, that's when Toonami started to come on.
That's right.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh.
Toonami, and then I want to say that's around the time when they started putting stuff on Adult Swim too, right?
Yeah.
Or a
Wait,
little
I
bit.
don't know
That was a
about
little bit
Adult
later,
Swim.
I think. That
No,
might have
that
been
was later.
just a
But
yeah.
yeah, but at the
Right.
same time, yeah, I think there's a lot more manga coming out too. Or
Mm,
at least that I found. But then again, I was a kid, so I didn't really have too much available to me.
right. So with manga, I know for a long time that like when I was a kid, I really 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 was into Pokemon, and I was collecting just anything that had like a Pikachu on it. It could be freaking a box of Pop Tarts that had a Pikachu on it, and I
Mm.
would have that in my stupid little collection.
Huh.
I have no idea where those things are now. I don't know what
Yeah.
happened. But one of the things that I went to a store and they would print out some Pokemon manga, but they they would reverse the images because the manga is right to left,
Yeah.
and so the stuff that they would print they would actually print in like the familiar comic book shape, and then
Yeah.
flip the images so they were from left to be read from left to right. Is
Yeah.
that the kind of stuff that you were looking at, or was it actually like sort of in its pure form in the volumes?
Actually, so when you were talking about how you would get, anything that had Pokemon on it,
Yeah.
there was one time when I would went to Beeman's, I think, and I bought like a manga that was from Japan but was not translated, but I thought, oh, it's Sailor Moon. So it's so cool. It's like I just loved looking at the pictures. I didn't necessarily know the story, but
Sure.
that's just one of the things that also drew me to manga. It was just like the art's so beautiful. Um, but anyways, going back to from left to right and right to left.
Hmm.
Um, I when they first started printing manga in America, yeah, they actually did flip everything over. Um, and I think the reason that they did that was because, it was it was still new to this audience.
Hmm.
And so, they wanted to make it more easier. But they did eventually just leave it in the original format and just change, the dialogue. But
Yeah. Right.
that
Right.
it was, yeah. But sometimes you would look at the art going from left to right, and you could say, "Oh, that's weird. That doesn't really. That's not how the like costume goes, especially if there's like certain
Oh yeah, if it's
elements."
asymmetrical, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, so when they made that transition, I know that they put the stuff at the back, uh, the American front, so to speak. When if you were reading it like an American book, they put a little thing that says, "Hey, you're supposed to read this from the other
Oh
side. Go
yeah.
to the other
Yeah.
side." And it's interesting because they do that. They still do that on all the stuff that they're printing out now.
Oh
Um,
really?
yeah,
Sorry, I haven't read anything really new.
yeah.
If anything, it's always online.
Yeah. Well, okay, so that's interesting too. So they do that for the printed volumes for just about anything, as well as so I have the Weekly Shonen Jump, the current Weekly Shonen Jump digital
Mhm.
subscription,
Mhm.
and if you get to the end or somehow like, oh no, here's what it is. If you when you turn the pages, you're swiping, right? As if you're
Yeah.
like turning thing. Even on the digital form of the Weekly Shonen Jump, if you try to turn the page the wrong way, when it opens, it tells you, "Hey, hold up, it's in the other direction, so you should be swiping the other direction too." So
Oh.
it's neat that they sort of preserve that because that motion moves from right to left too because of the layout.
Mhm.
Um, um, yeah, so it's and I guess a bit of trivia there. There's a series called Parasite. Have you heard of this one?
Uh, n- Wait, is that the one with the thing on the guy's hand?
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
yeah, it's the
I
thing
think I
with
started watching maybe the anime like the first episode, and then
yeah.
I kind of just stopped.
Oh, yeah, I can sort of see why. It's fantastic though. It's a really great read, and the current adaptations are really good. They did really a good job modernizing it because it took place in the '90s before the technology was where it was. So
Mm.
the technology they're using in the current anime and all the stuff that they're sort of present there was it's sort of how do I say it, like held the plot up a little bit before because they weren't, cell phones even at that point I think weren't common, but now people have smartphones and that, so it's they were still able to preserve a lot of it.
Mm.
Anyway, in the manga, it had it takes over his right hand. I want to say
Mhm.
that's right. Yeah. It takes over his right hand, so he calls it a migi, which means right. Uh, that's sort of his nickname for it. But when they first started releasing it in the U.S., it was in that reverse format, so they actually had to change it a bit and call it lefty. Well, yeah, when they were printing it, and so now I don't want to say something was lost there, but it's interesting that they did have to deal with that.
Yeah.
Um, kind of. I don't know a whole. I don't have a slew of examples here, but it's interesting. And then eventually they released it again in the correct direction, and then they just went. I don't remember. I don't know what name they gave it in that point, but it was there. Um, so did you have a favorite, like a one that you remember or keep close, or maybe even reread every now and then when it comes to manga?
Uh, this is so embarrassing. Because I think the one that just really I obsessively collected as a manga, but I actually bought was Fushigi Yugi.
Shiki. Okay, I'd heard about this. I don't know anything about it. If you want to tell me a little bit, like what's the deal?
Sure. Oh, hold on
That's
one
I
second.
think that means magic. Is that right?
Oh gosh, I don't remember what Fushigi Yugi means.
I'm pretty sure Fushigi is something about magic, but I'm not gonna look it up right now. But anyway, that's fine. So what's the context? Tell me.
It was definitely shoujo,
Okay.
but it had some action in it. So, and actually, when I was buying it and reading it, okay, I actually would let the guys borrow it because they like to read it too.
Interesting.
But basically, there's this girl. Oh, gosh, I was not prepared for this, but but she's like transported to this other world, or not this other world. It's like, well, I guess it is. It's like the past or something, and she, gosh, just need to read this over again. And shit, nope, I do not remember this, but I
That's
just
fine.
remember there was just like cute boys, and there was this girl that was actually a boy, and I don't know, I don't know. It's,
So
but
that's what you
but I think she was like chosen to pretty much help decide who rules the kingdom, and there's like different zodiac signs that help her out, I think, or not zodiac signs, maybe it's like there's like these there's like other characters that with I guess they're like born with like characters on them. Sorry, they're like actually written characters
right,
born with them,
right.
and they're supposed to help her yeah, um kind of like fight for who will, I guess, rule that kingdom. I think that was it. Ah, jeez.
Okay.
She just cut this entire part out. That
No,
was
no,
so.
no. No, it's fine. It's interesting. I mean, it's been a
Okay,
long.
I'm
I
gonna go
imagine
back.
it's been a long time since you've seen it. It sounds like.
I think it's been like 10 years.
Oh golly, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
Of course, you might
because
not
I
remember
stopped. I
stuff.
stopped reading them, and after when I went to college. So I think yeah,
Oh
high
wow.
school was it. Yeah,
Okay. So is it that you
it's
went to college and you're like, I'm done. I don't need, or you just kind of fell off because you were just doing other things? Was that because that
it
happened
was
too?
it was kind of out of necessity that I have to fall off because I was kind of like gonna get kicked out of
Oh,
college for
okay.
like
Right.
from watching too much anime or playing too many video games and reading too many things. So yeah, out of necessity, I kind of just like
You
had to
had to.
drop it
You
all,
had to.
and I
Okay.
never really picked it back up. But once in a while, I'll like watch something if it's recommended to me, or but it's very rare that I do. I think the last thing that I saw like fully
Hmm.
or watched fully was free when you guys were watching it last year. Was that,
I
or
was
was it
not part
last
of
year?
that group. I'm just letting you
Oh.
know. But yeah, no, I remember when that was going on. Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember the last manga I read. I cannot remember
Has
for
it
the
been
life of
that
me what I
long?
love.
Was that even longer, or is it just?
Yeah, it's just been so long. Yeah.
Mm.
Although I did read one of those horror stories, I think recently online, and it really like it's the one where there's like they uncover the mountainside with the
Oh,
hole of
oh, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna
yeah,
mess up the
that just
title. That was
yeah.
that's Junji Ito's. I want to say I don't know if it was like The Legend of or just Amiga Dara Fault. I think it was what it was called.
Yeah.
Um,
Anyways, I read that and I was like, Jesus, it's
yeah,
not I'm not gonna forget that ever.
yeah.
Uh
That was
and
that was actually my first Junji Ito story. I forget
oh
where I saw it, but I remember seeing it
really
online. Yeah, I saw it online at The Enigma of Amiga of I'm sorry, The Enigma of Amigara Fault. The Enigma
yeah.
of Amigara Fault. Yeah.
So
Uh
I think that was actually the last thing I've read,
right.
and that has anything to do with like manga,
Sure.
and maybe that's why I haven't read anything since. Yeah, it's just I don't know why, but it's really riveting,
Yeah,
even
no,
though
it was
it's
a
so horrifying.
yeah,
But it really, really sticks you,
it
and
did, yeah. Like
I think that's also one of the things too about manga is just that as opposed to like it being animated, it's just like you go at your own pace,
yes.
you know,
Huh.
and and not everything's all laid out for you. Like there's like you still have to imagine their voices or even just like the colors or even it's not totally laid out for you, so you have some freedom in the way that you interpret it, I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a great observation. Yeah, definitely. And then yeah, I feel like there's sometimes a bit of a not finality or there's more of a definition when things are animated. Um there's less it's less obscured by not being in black and white, by not being animated. Wait, might be mixing those things up, but
But I get what you're
it's
saying. It's just like,
right, yeah,
yeah, it's just like more, it's a bit more defined. But also sometimes too is like when, I guess also with a lot of sometimes with the anime is like they just want to keep going, you know?
right. Well,
I don't know.
I feel like the trend's gone in another direction. I mean, we can say that about stuff that
Yeah.
I mean that's their when it comes to manga, that's their lifeblood, especially if it's based on a manga.
Yeah.
They want a series to keep going because that's how they eat, right?
Yeah.
Um, and of course, things can happen; it can get stale. But I think that's sort of what I like too about manga is that it felt like there were a lot more options,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes any sense. Like the hmm, I want to say like when I was getting into it that I saw everything on the same shelf, and it didn't feel like it was the majority of it was something like superhero titles. Even though I guess the Japanese version of that would be like shonen titles, right?
Yeah.
Where it's a longer running thing and it takes up a lot more real estate on the shelves. But
Mm-hmm.
you could see on the shelves also like different things that were available, stuff that was a little bit more mature, um, stuff that was a bit darker sometimes.
Or
Uh,
more adult themed.
right? Yeah. Well, sure. Yeah, that's possible too. But in the case of I mean, going back to Amigara Fault, it's it's pretty gruesome. It's actually no, let me try that again. It's not gruesome at all. Like
It's not.
there's a bit of it at the end
Oh
that's
yeah.
kind of creepy looking,
Yeah,
and
but
and
it's a psychological horror
yeah,
thing.
it's a bit like it's more on what's terrifying in that case is the compulsion.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you were in that situation, it's not like something was after you. It's not like some like infection or like there's a monster or anything. It's your fear is yourself. It's coming from you. Like
Mm-hmm.
would I be able to resist doing going into that hole, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's that was an interest. I mean, the scary pictures are scary looking. Fine, of course, that's gonna
Yeah.
happen. That's just you're gonna see that in his work. But in that case, the thing that you're afraid of your most is probably yourself, right?
Yeah.
'Cause you,
It's
'cause-
also almost kind of like a curiosity sort of thing.
oh
Like
yeah, yeah,
like in a way, it's like it's for you.
yeah,
So what? But why? You
yeah,
know,
right.
and you want to just kind of explore it further, but there's a point where you just can't turn it back. Oh God.
Yeah, yeah, because you see, well, I mean, yeah. So the
Yeah.
characters in the story, right? They go to the fault and they see the
Oh,
human-shaped holes in the wall, and
yeah.
at first it seems silly and it's kind of ludicrous that people are jumping into these holes and they're disappearing into them, and they're like, well, that's dumb. But as soon as they see their own, they they completely change, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's like, ha, this is so, oh,
I wonder if it's
okay.
a metaphor for anything.
It probably is. I don't know. I don't know what the thing that you're seeing. I don't. You see a thing and you know that you're supposed to do it, but it'll kill you in the end, probably,
Yeah. Maybe it's
or
like
turn
drugs, a
turn you.
metaphor for drugs.
Yeah. Okay. That's probably what it is.
No,
Yeah.
I don't know, but oh gosh. Okay, I don't want to talk about that
Oh,
anymore.
that's fine. No, that's fine. Yeah, I was totally gonna transition into more of his other work because
No,
I think
no,
it's
stop it.
it's
No,
addicting. I don't know.
no. See, this is why I read I read I actually just read like fiction now. I don't read anything
Right.
with
Yeah.
images at this point.
Yeah.
It's,
Well, you were telling us, you were telling me before. I was talking about how the scary image is pretty scary, but I feel like the written word tends to be a lot scarier because you're leaving it to more of your own imagination. Um,
really?
I think so. I mean, that's sort of what I like. I can read any of Junji Ito stuff and I can go to sleep, no problem. And I'm kind of upset about that. I just have the
I
feeling,
I
but
wonder if it's because of the way that you store memories versus the way I store memories, because in your profession you do coding, so it's a lot of
ugh,
text based stuff.
Right.
Or as I'm a graphic designer, and so I visually remember things a lot more. And so I think maybe that's why you find, anything written word, like any horror stories like that scarier, is because you're more able to hold on to that in your memory, because that's the way you work. But as opposed to me, where it's like working with graphics, working with pictures, it's I could I could completely remember that image, that last image, um of that story, where it's just these thin cracks, and this figured person with all the it's just mangled, and see, I can still remember that, and that's why I
No, I
think maybe
can.
that's why.
Not 100% sure I agree with that because I can
Mhm.
picture the same thing right now, and I can
Mhm.
picture pretty much most anything else that happened in a lot of the other
Yeah.
ones that I've read. Uh, but if you are curious, the sort of reason I even go for this stuff is because I thought that was what the natural progression of reading was supposed to be. But no, I'm 100% serious when I'm saying this, but it was when I was a kid, there were the, we would go to this bookstore, and the bookstore would have books divided by reading level, and it was I think it was divided by grades. It was first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth grade books, something like
Mhm.
that, right? The thing that followed after sixth grade books were the horror section for some reason. So in my head, I got into, okay, so that's what adults read when they grow up. They can read these things, and it won't give them nightmares. And so I would just keep trying every year or so until I could handle it, and then I think I broke something because I don't.
That's funny.
Yeah,
Oh man, I could not do that.
yeah,
Well, I mean, like, actually, I'm trying to think of all the horror stories that I've read.
right. So
Um,
you still read horror stories, right?
I read like short stories, usually just like what's on um
Just online,
online on like that subreddit. I forgot what it's
right?
called.
Okay.
No Sleep. It was
Yeah.
our No Sleep.
Hmm.
And yeah, there's some really good ones there.
Hmm.
Um
Does manga show up there, or horror comics show
no,
up there
no,
at
no.
all?
It's
It's all
it's really
text.
just it's all just original stories from just any readers. But then I'm trying to think of all the other if I've read I haven't read too much. I really should read more in general.
Yeah. Huh?
Um
It
I think
doesn't hurt.
just probably Stephen King was really the only ones that I've really read is horror stories.
Mm.
Um, yeah, that's all I could think of. I mean, I don't know if you count, Dracula. Well, yeah, I guess that's supposed to be horror. Dracula, Frankenstein. I actually really liked Frankenstein.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that was a classic. Um,
Actually, I believe Junji Ito has a version of Frankenstein that he did.
oh, really?
I think so. I want to say that's right. I mean, I
Does,
have to look
does,
into it, but
does it look visually really, really scary?
um, I don't remember. I remember thinking, yeah, this is pretty good because I liked Frankenstein a lot myself. So I don't recall completely what everything looked like. I
Okay.
think it's yeah, it's pretty. It gets pretty. I mean, the character is still preserved. You know, what
Hmm.
what are you gonna get? It's a guy made out of corpses,
Yeah.
right? What do you expect from what kind of images you're telling? And the kind of so it looks pretty nasty when it does, but it's he's not the monster. You know
No.
this.
Yeah.
The monster isn't the monster.
Mm.
So if you can sort of separate that mentally and get past the fact that it's pretty like nasty looking, it's Frankenstein. You know.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'd recommend it if you could stomach it, or at least check out the first few pages of it. That's pretty
Okay,
good.
I will. I will definitely check it out.
So is that saying like if you were to read any manga
Would I read horror
now, would you
manga?
would it end up being horror manga, or were there would be other genres that you would? Because I mean, it sounds like you sort of let it go. This is something that's in your past, but it
Um,
sounds like you'd be interested in at least tuning in because there's pretty good stuff out there right now. I'd like to say, horror or not,
um,
because
it's so funny because like I always say I don't want to read horror, I don't, but I always end up reading it anyways.
right, yeah.
That's like actually, if anything, that's what I read the most is any sort of or if it's short stories or if it's any books. Actually, I probably yeah. I don't know if I want to. I mean, it sounds intriguing, but I don't know if I want to.
Right.
I can't really
I
I
what?
can't really think of anything else.
So there's a, I don't know if this is a genre. I might have mentioned this before, but there's something that's sort of on the I've been into sort of disaster stuff lately. Like I've probably mentioned that, I think.
Like post-apocalyptic.
Not necessarily, just something that like just some kind of emergency. Yeah, there's the post-apocalyptic stuff where like giant bugs take over or plants
Mhm.
take over or giant bugs. Giant bugs is a really common one for some reason. I guess that's somebody's fear. Um but or like a plane crashes and they land on an island, or like a battle royale situation. You know, that a bunch of kids
Mhm.
put on an island and they have to kill each other.
Mhm.
Um, there's one I'd have to find. I don't remember its exact title, but this guy is on his way home. He's on like a 3 a.m. train or 6 a.m. train after like working a night shift, and it's an underground train, and there's an earthquake, and
Ooh.
so he and the passengers and a lot of other people are just trapped underground. And it's really short. I want to say it's only like 2 volumes long,
Huh.
but it is. I want to say it's its own genre. I don't know if it's called disaster, but it seems like that would cover it.
Yeah, that
So
does sound like a disaster sort of um story.
right,
I don't
yeah. So it ends up being a case where people are trapped for some reason in a tight space on an
Mhm.
island in some kind of crazy. They get
That
pulled.
sounds horrible.
Yeah. And well, yeah, and of course the monsters end up being other humans, even if there are other problems like
Hmm.
to worry about besides the natural, like whatever
Yeah, it's
else is
kind of
happening.
like it's like Midnight from Doctor Who.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well,
Actually, now that I'm
close.
thinking about it, if anything, I'd probably read like romance.
Oh, okay,
Uh,
sure.
I mean, I
I
don't
don't.
know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, no, no. It's fine. I can't make any recommendations
No,
there.
I figured not.
Yeah. Oh, or maybe I can, but I'll have to do that separately, I think. Um. mm, I guess. Is there anything else you could think of, comic wise, manga, comic, whatever wise that
No, I
want
wish
to
I
just
had. I
regurgitate?
wish I had more to like tell you
No,
about that
no.
manga, but I
Oh,
just
right,
because
Fushigi Yugi, yeah. Oh, I was wrong by the way. I ended up. I can look it up right now. It means it
something
doesn't
in
mean
play. The Mysterious Play. That's what
yeah.
it was called.
Right, yeah. Maho's magic. I totally messed it up. I'm embarrassed. Not Fushigi.
No, it's okay. You could just cut that out.
No, it's fine. I made the mistake, and it's on air, and I feel silly, but I'm learning.
That's interesting.
Right.
I'm actually looking at my bookshelf, and there's only one manga on there.
Oh yeah, what is it?
It's an adult story about.
Really? Okay.
It's not really like it's an adult themed manga.
Okay.
Um,
What
yeah.
is this called, if I may ask?
Oh gosh. It's like a no-name thing. It's like a one-off sort of thing. Let me see if I can pull it off the shelf.
Sure. So
Okay.
what is this?
So, between the sheets.
Wow. Okay.
But it was really it's mature.
Right. So it's like an adult romance.
Yeah, but it was like I think it's like oh, there's like a girl and she totally like falls for her best friend.
Mm-hmm.
And but of course her best friend doesn't feel the same way because she's not gay. Um and so she
Oh,
ends up and
okay.
then there's a
Wait.
guy that also dates the best friend, and so there's a girl and she falls in love with or I think she says she falls in love with this her best friend. Her best friend doesn't feel the same way. Her best friend starts dating this guy, and she, of course, the best friend rejects the guy, and so the other girl who had fallen in love with her best friend, she kind of just gets with the guy. I think, yeah, yeah, and that was it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
actually kind of a sad ending.
Oh,
But I also just pulled off another. I can't believe I still have this book.
what's that one?
Oh, this has nothing to do with manga. It's just called Anime Essentials. Everything a fan needs to know.
Okay.
I got this from like 2005.
Wow.
Okay. Anyways, yeah, that's all I have on my shelf.
Alrighty. Well, cool. Thanks for coming and talking to me about manga, and I'm
I'm
glad I'm
trying to
trying to talk. Well, I
talk
mean,
with you about manga.
you remembered what you could, and that's great. So I guess we'll just close up. Thanks for listening to the Comic Fiends Comic Friends with sim1eve, and thanks for tuning in.